Hi, good morning, good evening, as per your time zone, and wish you very happy new year. I'm Kumkum Sharma from Eisen Bridge, and I'm back again on live open session episode 47. And I would like to welcome you all on the behalf of entire Eisenbridge team. So, guys, let me just discuss the agenda first. And as always, agenda is not driven by me; it's driven by you only. So, whatever questions you have related to your career growth, your certification training, and upcoming confusions related to trainings and certification, you can ask to Saket, and he'll definitely answer all your queries. And thank you very much, Saket, for joining me again for this session and taking out time for the session. So without wasting any time, Saket, how would you like to start the session?
So, welcome everyone. Yeah, that's the important thing. And I see that it may take some minutes before this event get populated to your feed and you may get remember to join it. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so the new year has started. It was little uh, kind of a slow period for us about education and running training programs, but now we are back. We are running various educational programs. In the coming week, I am starting with the IC Agile transformation program, which is called ICP CAT, Coaching Agile Transformations. This particular program is basically about helping you to explore the transformation roadmap, design your own transformation journey, and understand how usually the agile transformation works. So that's something is going to start very soon. And we are also back with our PMP classes. We have a weekend PMP classes starting pretty soon now. Upcoming week, we will also have a PMP class starting up. Other than that, programs like KMP2, yeah, Kanban Management Professional, the Kanban System Improvement, which is a new name of KMP2, is also coming very soon in the coming weeks. And then the usual Certified Scrum Master, Certified Scrum Product Owner, leading safe product owner. So they are anyway running now. So I think there was a gap of a few weeks, but now things are coming back and we are back with lots of programs. So as Kumkum said, the objective of this particular program is just to facilitate your decision making related to various certification and education program. If you have any specific query which can help you in exploring and taking a decision which particular career path, which particular certification will be good for you, my objective is that I can help you in thinking in that direction. You may need to apply some more thinking after listening to me, but yeah, it's the process is that we facilitate. Now, what should we do? How do we get this information? You can just put your question in the chat box. If you are watching us on LinkedIn, you can comment in the LinkedIn in the same event space. If you are seeing this particular video on YouTube, you can type your query in the YouTube as well. So wherever you are, you can just put your query and that query will pop up here and we will start with that particular answer. Okay, so in the meantime, I can give you more updates. Looks like we have yet to see. Okay, some questions are coming. Okay, so I have done certified Scrum Master. The question is, but I am not into project or product management. I am more into project and product management. Will CSPO help me or not? So say if the person is in a project management and if you're working in a project mode, the best certification remains PMP certification if you are dealing with the project which may be agile or non-agile. And if you are getting into the product way of working, business analysis, identifying requirement, and you are playing a role of a product owner in a Scrum world, then doing certified Scrum product owner will be a good idea. Usually people who enroll to certified Scrum product owner, most of them are already working in the business analysis or product management or product ownership profile, and they want to understand how do they do this job which they are already doing in a Scrum environment. So they learn about things like managing product backlog, talking about like putting up a user stories and explaining and understanding how the overall framework works so that they can give the incremental requirement to the development team and get the things done incrementally. So that's the target segment usually for certified Scrum product owner classes. So with the help of that, they can position themselves as a product owner in a Scrum team. Whereas a project manager, the PMP certification is done by the people who are working in a project context. So it's like that they are working with some kind of commitment. There is a temporary nature attached to it. There is a start and end. There is an overall project goal. There are some set of reportings, governance that needs to be done. And inside it, they sometimes they end up using agile, sometimes they may be using non-agile, or sometimes mix of it. But overall organization business model is that they work in a project environment. So those kind of professionals may do PMP as well. Again, PMP, CSPO, CSM, all can be done together, but it depends. You probably want to put a sequence to it. So CSPO is very easy. Yeah, it's just a 2 days investment, but the PMP may take another 1.5 month time investment from you. Okay. So what are the career choice one can land after being agile coach? So my understanding of agile coach is that it's a role which is more about educating, enablement, transforming role. So what kind of core activities or core contribution you make in the organization is more about enable them to something do new and transform them to get used to of that thing, train them, facilitate it, and so that they become capable of doing something which they want to. So it's overall facilitating change and bringing some new way of working. While doing it, it may involve a lot of consulting work also, which might require setting up the processes, setting up the governance model, recommending some set of way of working, which may require doing root cause analysis of the problem and pinpointing what should be done and what should not be done. So I believe this is a consulting and coaching role, and one may want to continue in consulting and coaching role. Now, they may call themselves agile coach, sometimes they may call themselves enterprise coach if they are working at an enterprise level, sometimes they may call themselves digital transformation coach. It depends upon what kind of consulting and transformation one is doing. So if you have started with the consulting and transformation job, I think you may want to develop some specialization and do it at a next level, maybe with the bigger teams, bigger groups, more or less facilitating and transforming changes. Okay, so we go one by one. So I am a PMP certified on the 6th edition of PMBOK. Your few videos were very helpful. Great, thank you. It's good to use it. And the 6th edition videos are still useful. It is not about the PMBOK getting changed and the PMP is no more looking for the competencies which got built with the help of 6th edition. Yeah, there is a need of the same. What kind of a career path for Scrum Master in IT industry? So usually we see, again, there is no perfect path, but usually we see the Scrum Masters who are liking doing delivery, they stick to delivery and they start doing delivery facilitation in a bigger context. Sometime in a safe word, we call it release train engineer, where the person start facilitate leads delivery teams which are more than one team. So facilitating delivery with the help of multiple delivery teams, that becomes a one particular target role. Or overall managing the group of deliveries and guiding other delivery Scrum Masters so that they can take it forward. So that's the usual way of working which might happen in the Scrum Master space. The another thing which we see in the Scrum Master world is about coaching and transformation. So some of the coaches, some of the Scrum Masters may start getting into this space where they want to do a temporary transformation job and move forward. So you may stick to delivery, you may start moving to transformation space. If you're working as a Scrum Master in a hybrid organization, where sometimes you use agile, sometimes you use waterfall, sometimes you use something else, yeah, you just need to get the things moving, then you may develop yourself as a project manager also. So these are like typically things which we see multi-team coordination, facilitation, delivery, transformation coaching and guiding role, or getting into multiple ways of working and delivery space. Okay, so what is a basic starting point in terms of certification course to start an agile coach profile? So the way we see the certified Scrum Master many times work as a starting point for Scrum Masters. It's like just you understand what all involved in the Scrum Master role. On a similar line, the IC Agile Coach Program, we call it ICP ACC, is a good program to understand what it takes to become an Agile coach, what kind of competency one should have, and you understand the outline of the role of Agile coach, and you develop some of the competencies which are involved in Agile coaching. So along with that, you probably need to understand what is Agile and Scrum Val by way of doing Certified Scrum Master, Leading Safe, or Kanban related theories. After that, you need to understand how the Agile coach role fits into. So ICP ACC is a good certification to start looking at the Agile coaching. Okay, how do we handle if one has to handle two different teams, both in the different time zone? So it depends upon what are the teams, what are the size, what are the time zones. But in a simple word, you need to come up with your working agreement and share calendars. So you need to find out how to work together and what is the expectation from different teams and different your role for those teams. And once we have that expectation management or setup done, then you figure out how do you execute them. So set up a working agreement, have a team agreement, talk about the shared hours, talk about how do we communicate with each other. The synchronous communication is becoming more and more very expensive commodity. So sometimes we don't get people on the same time listening to and replying to us. Though the agile ways of working was basically focusing on the people meeting face to face, or at least they are in synchronous mode. But as we are getting into more and more distributed environment, and the remote environment, the synchronous way of working is becoming more and more precious commodity. It is not that easily available. So we need to find out how much time you have in a synchronous mode and how much time you don't you need to handle in the asynchronous mode, where you put something, they reply to something, and all those things. And how do you facilitate that asynchronous way of working by way of tools? So good amount of focus on tools is happening, like you have a overall tracking with the help of Jira or something, which ensures that things are at the same place. So that's the thing. Okay, so I'm working as a development come delivery lead. I'm in the IT companies. I was working on application engineering space, and I'm MTech Auto. So what should be the good thing? I believe the basic thing which one can start with is a certified Scrum Master. Yeah, that's the easiest things to start with, because if you are working, especially in the IT, if you are working in the IT and working as a development delivery lead or development group, you probably want to see how Scrum can be used, and you might be already using it, part of it. Yeah, so certified Scrum Master is a good starting point. After that, you will realize that if it is too much related to you, if you feel that this is the thing which I want to do, then you may want to grow yourself in a Scrum direction alone. If you realize this is something sometime useful, but we need to do many other things other than these kind of stuff, and you realize that project management is your core area, then you may do a PMP certification. So anyone who is coming from development background and want to get into leadership background, the Scrum Certified Scrum Master and PMP certification, depending upon what kind of environment you work in, but these two certifications usually hold good value for you. Okay, so we are focusing on, I'm in a construction industry. What will be recommended certification for me? Will the Kanban will work? So the Kanban certification which we runs, yeah, are designed from the perspective of knowledge industry. Yeah, so they are more soft oriented. They are not physical or assets oriented. The Kanban University which we are focusing on, it's more focusing on the service and knowledge based industry. So I'm not sure. At the same time, when I work with a lot of people who are doing PMP certification coming from construction industry, they do see a value in learning Agile and Scrum and Kanban, but probably a ready-made certification which can tell them how to use it in their context may not be available. So what you can probably learn is that what is Scrum with the help of certified Scrum Master, or you might already know with the help of your previous PMP study, or you can definitely explore what is Kanban, but you may need to augment these theories with your own knowledge to see how much it fits into your context. Because the construction also, there is a design of a building, and there is a like housekeeping of the building, there is a construction of the building. So there is a whole lot of different area comes in. You may see in some areas those kind of workings are useful, yeah, and only you can figure out based on what you study from Scrum and the Kanban word. Yeah. Okay. So, how are we going to work with a team member who are not going to fulfill their commitment during the sprint? So, it could be any case. In a simple word, how do you work with the team member who is unable to do what he's expected to do? Yeah. So, how do we do? As a leader, we do it on a daily basis. That's what we do. Now, do we have a defined formula for it? I don't think, else that formula will be applied everywhere. But some of the basic principles, like understanding what are the gaps, why you can't do it, how can I help you in doing it, what kind of a skill gaps are happening, what kind of information gaps are happening, or how can we improve transparency so that we don't end up knowing after 2 weeks that this is not done. So the agile way of working is basically facilitation, transparency, and problem solving. So we need to work with the people. We need to know on a daily basis what is working, what is not working. We need to ensure that there is a sufficient amount of transparency. And if something is not working, we need to find out how to fix that on a daily basis, rather than after a 2 weeks or after a month, we are realizing, oh, this was not working. So make good use of daily Scrum. That's the thing, and make good use of transparent Kanban board and help people to get over from their problems as they stuck somewhere. How can we memorize all the KPIs for the PMP exam or project manager interview? So for a PMP exam, at least from last 10 years, since I am teaching PMP, at least for our clients, they are hardly memorizing anything. So I don't know what you want to memorize for PMP exam. That probably won't work. And as much I understand, for the interviews, the more and more interviews are focusing on listening to your experience rather than listening to what you remember from a book. Yeah. Maybe you need to put appropriate language in your experience so that it can be communicated in an effective manner. That much is needed, but probably not doing some kind of memorization. Now, does it mean the PMP does not require memorization? I would say that it requires understanding of the language of project management. See, whatever we do, technology, we do anything, each field has their terms, and the terms has some meanings. If you don't understand that vocabulary, then we may take time to dig what it is, and we may not be able to understand questions of our people, and may becomes difficult to communicate our ideas to others. So the PMP certification, only one thing which you need to understand is the vocabulary of project management. Other than that, I don't think any question will come where you need to give a definition in the word by word format or anything like that. But yes, when somebody talks about critical path, you should understand what is critical path. When someone talks about risk, you should understand what is risk. Now you probably don't have to define risk there. Yeah. So similarly, I believe in the project management interviews also, if someone talks about share something about risk, then you should be able to understand what is risk and should be able to share some examples of the risk. If someone asks you, tell me a situation where the critical path was having like their critical path changed during the project, and how do you manage that particular change, and what was the event which led to a change in a critical path. So that kind of a question might come in the interview as well, but it doesn't require what is the definition of critical path. There could be some exceptional interviewer who may ask that, but the PMP exam is not going to ask. At least that much is for sure. So how important it is to do a PMP for a career progression if one has already done some SAFE certification. Now, this is very important to understand the difference between PMP certification and SAFE certifications. SAFE certifications are not generic education. You can't use the SAFE knowledge where SAFE is not used. Yeah. They are specific implementation. If someone is using scaled agile ways of working, the majority of the content of SAFE certification will be relevant there. It is not something that anyone who is doing development can pick up some ideas. There could be some ideas which are universal in nature, but the branding or the focus of safe certification is to teach you how things done in the scaled agile framework. Now, PMP certification is not tied to any particular framework. So it is basically tied to that if you're working in a project environment, may use a one project environment may use 10 phases. Another project environment may not use any phase. One project environment may have a 10 team members. The another project environment may have 100 people working together. So there could be variations, but in the whole variation, you understand some of the management concepts which are helpful for running the job. Yeah, that's how they are different. So if you're working in the scaled agile framework mode, you probably don't care for PMP certification because you basically focus on what is needed in your organization, which is safe. But if you're not working in a safe context, or if you're trying to learn a generic way of doing deliveries in a project mode, then only the PMP certification makes sense. Okay. So is there any crash course for PMP? So usually it takes 1.5 months. I usually tell it takes around 100 hours of preparation, 100 to 150. One can enroll any point in time. Your counter can start there. We have 100 plus hours of video content already available to you. You join it, and then we have a live sessions which can clarify your PMP things. Yeah. So I see that someone has joined Tech Mahindra. If you have any specific question, please drop it here. How do we handle when the team member avoids Scrum meetings? Again, it's all about working with people. This will happen in any way of working, in a Scrum way of working or Agile way of working also. People will not adhere to the ground rules. People will not adhere to what they are expected to do. So what do? We work with them, we understand, we change them. And if the person is not changing, we change the person ultimately, if that's the case. So we need to find out what should be done. Yeah, ideally we should be able to change and make the person explain. But if someone says, your office starts at 9 o'clock, but I will come at 1 o'clock only, whatever you do, I don't care, then what will you do? Yeah, you will explain our office starts at 9 o'clock. You will explain 2 times, you will explain 3 times. But if the person says, no, I will come between I will come 1 p.m. and I will go at 5 p.m. I don't care, your office timings are 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. And what will you do? This is okay. I understand you have your choices. I have my choices. So we need to find out. But again, there could be some cases where you need to find out that this is not workable. Yeah. Now, does Agile has a breathing space for development team? Does Agile has a good for testing and all? I believe it all depends upon organization culture. It will be bad to say the waterfall gives good importance and good power to project manager, or Agile gives a good power to developers or something. It all about how do we care for each other? How do we work together? And how do we ensure that everybody is enjoying what they are doing so that they can work in the long term? So if the organization has this goal that we want to build long-term relationship, we want to make people happy when they are working so that they can keep working for us, they enjoy and we make money out of their work. If you have that kind of organization culture, whatever they use, Scrum, Agile, Waterfall, they will be giving proper, they will be asking you to do an estimation. They will be asking you about your problems. They will be helping you to get resolve your problem, and they will never push something to you. If you have a different kind of organization where nobody cares about how long you work here, but they want to make sure as long you work here, they want to make maximum out of you, then they will push the work on you. They will make you sit long hours. They will not care about your problems. They will not care about your development, your technical development, your career development. They will just try to make maximum out of you. Then that's an organization culture. Now, Scrum can be used in both the organization culture. We can say it's good or bad or whatever it is. So we need to see where we are and what the organization culture is. If the organization culture is conductive, productive, they will focus on giving everybody the due space. Okay. Which of one have a more weightage in terms of jobs, future prospect, stability among this? So it all depends upon what is your career profile. Now the question is saying which one has better job project manager, technical manager, agile project manager, delivery manager. Now, say, please try to understand there are millions of project managers, and one might be earning 1,000 and another might be earning 100,000, but both are called project manager. Similarly, you will have millions of scrum masters and everybody getting paid differently. So, yes, a title brings something, some kind of understanding, but a lot depends upon in which geography you are working, in which technology you are working, in which industry you are working, in which domain you are working, in which company you are working, what is your past history, all these things. So, when I need to plan my career, I need to consider my history, my experience, my domain, my geography, and my interest area, and some of the titles which has more vacancies. Yeah. Now, depending upon my power and the market opportunity, I get into it. Now, project managers are generic profile, which is there are so many project managers because anyone can become a project manager in a way. But there are little more demand for project managers also because it's a generic profile. When you say a technical, the supply becomes less. Yeah. At the same time, because the only people who are coming from technology are there, project management can be done by the people who are coming from technology, who are coming from business analysis, who are coming from testing. Anyone can become project manager provided they can just facilitate and lead the team. So it's a big space and there is a need of a project manager sufficiently. But when it goes to technical space, the supply becomes less, the need also becomes less. Yeah, you don't need so many technical experts and manager. And again, your skill becomes important because are you really able to do the technical development job? So you see where you want to play. You want to play in a generic space where there is a tough competition. Yeah, the generic space is a lot of market, a lot of competition. Or you want to work in a specific space where there is a less demand but less competition also. So one has to do this analysis, and based on that you will find out. If I generically say, yeah, project managers jobs are more in a way, technical depends upon which technology, then each technology will have a different bucket. Project manager, agile project manager, I think they are interchangeably. So nowadays project managers are expected to do. Service delivery is something specific. When the service industry, they will have a service delivery manager, so there is a specific space for them, probably in my opinion maybe less than project management space. But if I have an experience of service delivery, I may want to focus on service delivery more. What would be a possible answer when an interviewed answers asks you create a project management plan in a 5 minutes? So you can probably say that it is a rough order of magnitude estimate. Definitely you can make a rough order of magnitude plan, which is a super high level plan in a 5 minutes. Or so the amount of information you have, an amount of time you apply for process that information, and based on that you do a forecast or a projection. Your forecast and projection accuracy will be a function of how much information you had and how much analysis you did. If I am making some judgment in 5 minutes, my accuracy may be poor, but that might be needed in some cases. Yeah. So, for example, here we were discussing should we do project manager, technical, and all. In a small space, I picked up some information I shared. It is not a very detailed analysis. It can't give you an exact path, but probably can give you a good starting point. Now, similarly, if I go to a client and the client asks me and give me some requirement, and they may ask me that, okay, how tentative it will work? Can you suggest some roadmap and direction and approach for it and some timeline for it? If within a 5-10 minutes, I probably want to give them. At the same time, I will tell that this is a to give you a direction. It is not something which you believe will come true as it is, but this is how it will work. We will have, say, step one, step two, step three, and when we finish the step three, we will know how well we are doing, and various steps we will do a reflection. Tentatively, step one takes this much, this many months. That step two take these many months, and step three take these many months. So that much I think I can suggest, but it depends upon what interviewer want to listen. Probably they just want to see how you approach the problem rather than they are looking for a specific answer from you. My guess. Yeah. So so what to takes to become a technical project manager? There might be many things. One might give a generic ideas. Yeah, same thing. So the technical project managers usually, in my experience, what I have seen is a technical team leadership plus project management profile. So you are expected to be the expert and leader of the group when it comes to technology as well, which means when people get stuck, you should be able to solve their problem. Yeah, that's why you are technical. And you also give management reporting and other processing thing, and you do other overhead work because you are expected to take care of various project things as well. So the person who is doing team leadership in the technological space as well as doing project management, many time called technical project manager. Yeah. So I think this question is repeat. So how are you going to work with a team member who are not going to fulfill their commitment during the sprint? So as I shared, it's more about the transparency. It's all about understanding their problem and solving their problems. Yeah. So it's all about, see, the idea here is irrespective of life cycle, if we work in a one team, the expectation of collaboration is minimum. We expect that we work and collaborate with each other. We don't expect that I want to avoid you and you want to avoid me. If that's the case, then there is a problem, then there is a something else. So when you want to work, I want to work with you, and we are unable to work. Yeah, that's the basic assumption. If that is not the situation, then you probably need to do some organization intervention. Either you are at a wrong place or the person is at a wrong place, and we need to fix that. But both of us has a good intention. We want to work, but we are unable to work. Now, what can go wrong? Probably I am not getting the right information. Probably I don't know what to do. Probably I am not capable of doing what is expected to be done. Or probably there is a good amount of confusion and communication gaps, and maybe mix of all. So we need to find out how do we improve all this by way of open and transparent communication, helping each other, highlighting the issues early as possible, and resolving those issues on an incremental manner. So when we resolve the things, when we move forward and putting the right people to the right job, we may discover who is the right person for the right job over a period of time. We may discover this person is a not right fit for it. Maybe after one or two sprints, you realize that we don't have to give this kind of work to this person because he's unable to build a capability in that particular area. That's it. I think that's, in my experience, that's true for Scrum, that's true for project management, and that's true for anything. But if you have someone who doesn't want to work and you want to make him work and he doesn't want to work and he has his own goal, that is a then specific case. That's not a team then. Then you have to figure out how you work in that organization. Okay, so till here, I think we got good amount of questions. So if anyone has something more, please put it in the chat box. In the meantime, I'm just checking if we have something pending from the past. And as usual, probably we have told before, these videos get recorded as we are speaking. So they are available after the session gets over on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. So probably you are already subscribed to our YouTube channel. If not, it's a good idea to subscribe so that you get notification for such kind of events in future as well. We try to give a lot of notification, but yeah, in case something is there. Yeah. Now, how bad is thinking in working hours during in planning session? I don't think there is anything bad in it. Yeah. It only is that how detailed we are working on. So say if you want me to ask a particular thing which I have to do after 6 months, and you want to ask me what time you will start, how many hours you will take, and when you will do all this, I may get off because I don't even have an idea and visibility of what is going to happen after 6 months. But if you are going to ask me something which I have to do after 1 hour and says, you have to do this, how many hours it will take? I definitely need to tell it, oh, it's a half an hour thing, I can meet you after 9, something like that. I should talk in the hours. If someone is asking me, when can you meet me today? And I'm saying, I will meet you after 3 story points. It's confusing. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I need to give more specific details. So the idea here is if we are getting into the detailed planning, which is usually associated with the short duration, then it's okay to do effort level estimation as well. But if we are working on a little high level thing where we are not even clear who will do it, what will be the exact time when it will get started, and how the overall sequence of activities will be, then talking in the working hours might be difficult. So when I make a traditional project management plan, I make a critical path, I make a schedule, I don't estimate effort before I estimate the resource. I know this person is going to work. And based on the resource availability, I put the effort estimation. Again, it's an estimation. It may go wrong, but I need to know who is doing what when. Then only I can put it. In the agile ways of working, or especially in the initial days of our project, irrespective of agile ways of working, we don't have that information. So when we don't have that information, then talking in the effort hours or working hours may becomes little less productive, because it's you don't know whose hours it is, but you are guessing it. Now we made one blog on agile estimation. It's available on our website, and where I spoke about 4 areas of story point estimation, talking about estimation, relative sizing, planning poker, and then spending good amount of time talking about the difference between story points and effort. So probably you may want to check that thing as well. Okay, so how to deal with a difficult stakeholder? There are a lot of Google blogs on it. There are a lot of Chat GPT may give you a good idea about it. So a lot of things which can come when it comes to working with difficult people. But what I see in general is that it depends upon different personality to different personality. There are people who are difficult because they don't match with our style. There are people who becomes difficult because their priorities are very different from us. Yeah, they want something else and I am trying to do something else. So probably I need to know what is bringing difficulty in the relationship, yeah, before I deal with that person. And once I know that, I probably can handle it. Now the question will come, how can you know it? The basic way of knowing is listening and empathizing. So if I listen to the people, I empathize with them, then I figure it out what is making problem. Now, then also there are two solutions. Can I do something about that problem? Or I need to mitigate my risk because of that problem. When I say that nothing can work, this guy has a different goal, I have a different goal, and we can't work, collaborate, then probably I focus on working agreement. That, okay, this is your boundary, this is my boundary, and if you cross my boundary, these are the things, let's agree to it, let's work together. So some cases when you are working with the people where we can't have something common, you may work with a working agreement. But for rest of it or for most of it, you probably can understand each other's concern and find out how do we help each other. Yeah. So that's depending upon what qualifies something called difficulty. Listening, empathizing seems to be the good idea to start with. Again, exact answer will depend upon your guy, but yes, yeah. As a Scrum Master, my manager asked me to come out with a project plan. Is that the accountability of a Scrum Master? How should I approach this professionally? I don't know. Yeah. So see, what I personally believe is a guide or a book or a theory cannot tell you what should you do in a company, in the organization. Your exact job responsibility will be defined by your organization. So you probably need to see a thing called Scrum Master, a thing called Scrum Master in your organization means what? Yeah. And based on that, you decide, do you want to continue with that organization because for them, this thing involves this all, or you want to do something else? So I need to understand, because many times a thing called Scrum Master, a person may play a role of a project management also. So I see a Scrum Master role is also played by a person who is playing project management role. And Scrum can say, yeah, there are two roles played by one person. So we need, I can say the word project has nothing to do with Scrum. So if you are working in a project, you are not doing Scrum in a technical way. The Scrum should work in a product backlog. You should be working in a product. So since you start working in a project, some deviation has already happened. Now I need to understand, if I am working in a project, it means I am not in a product space. We are not here for long duration. It's not a ever growing product backlog. Now I need to find out, how do I fit here? And do I really want to fit here? So I think it depends. But yeah, I do see a lot of project managers and Scrum Masters are playing their role, and there is a good amount of overlaps where they do some amount of project management activities. How do we work with the PO who are coming from waterfall model and rigid waterfall even after educating coaching? So what is waterfall? I think. So see, I think there is no need to label something. We get into the details. What is a conflict? Yeah. So conflict could be the product owner thinks everything should be decided in the advance and I should get the delivery after 3 months. Great. Do we have that much visibility? Like, do we have that detailed requirements? If yes, that might be a right thing to do. If not, what should we do about it? So the idea here is if you have a ever growing changing environment, but the person is writing requirement in the beginning of the year and not adapting to the requirement, then we have a problem. We use agile or we use waterfall, whatever it is. So what we have to focus on is that we need to accommodate and we need to plan for the new learning exploration which is happening in our environment, and we need to take a feedback from it. Now how do we take a feedback from it? There could be someone wants to write user story, somebody may want to write use case, somebody may want to write a requirement document. I don't think there is any issue with that. You can write whatever you want. The only thing is that do we take these all feedbacks in account? So if I can work with my product owner and I can understand why he wants to take a feedback in account or why he may not wants to take a feedback in account, what makes the person feels that he has all the requirements in the beginning of the year and there is no need to change. And if that is the case, there could be truth in it. For example, I am working in a compliance organization, compliance related project. I may have a book given by the government and that book remains as it is. Yeah, if I do first sprint or I do nth sprint, the book remains as it is. I just need to make that happen. So probably that could be the case, and I understand, okay, probably I need to behave differently. So we need to find out, listen, again, working with difficult people, listen, empathize what makes them do what they are doing, and understand how can we work there. Now, there could be other kind of things where you may have a people who may want to give you changing requirement. They are good with that. They are good with telling you new things all the time, but they expect delivery happening in a very predictable way. That sometimes becomes tricky. So I not necessarily say it's a waterfall thinking where the person is good for changes, but person is not good for change in the delivery lines. Then we need to do some kind of working together. How do we work together? If you want to focus on delivery line, then we can't change it. If you want to keep changing, then we need to have a flexibility and accepting things at the later stage also. So I think listening and working together probably can help. So this somehow, Suraj, your comments are coming again and again. I think there is some issue. Somehow it got pushed multiple times. So I have taken care of it, hopefully. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is what we are planning to do. Last few minutes, I wait for a few more questions if there are any, else we start closing. Here, in general, again, you may go to different organization and they teach things, but our way of thinking, we don't much focus on this is the right thing or this is the wrong thing. My way of looking is basically this is a thing and I need to see the thing in the context, because your right might be wrong for me and my wrong could be right for you, and we both may use Scrum. So that's why I usually don't stick to saying that this is a good behavior or bad behavior. It's all about there might be some reasons. And in general, whenever something is sustaining, a particular way of working is sustaining, particular behavior is sustaining, there must be something which feeds that. There must be some needs for it. There should be some environmental things for it, or there could be a old learning related to it. So I need to understand what feeds this. It could be not just education, it could be the compulsion which the person or the organization puts into. Yeah, so that's something is there. Is the gold plating in project management is good? No, not at all. Yeah, that's what we learn. We don't do gold plating. Now what is gold plating? Probably we need to understand it. So gold plating is giving extra, assuming it will get liked by the customer. Yeah. But giving something extra with the help of evaluation of it with the customer is not gold plating. So you are working a product, you got a bright idea, you shared that idea in the product backlog refinement meeting or with your stakeholder, they like the idea, you build it. It is not gold plating because you followed a proper conversation. But you got the idea while you are working in the project team and you think it's a brilliant idea. Without discussing with anyone, you put into the system and you says now we are giving you great thing. Now that great thing may not be great for the customer. It might be too expensive thing to manage. So what the project management tells is always welcome great ideas, always welcome something which can benefit, but not surprises. Yeah, just make it clear, have a conversation, and once you make it clear, must have a conversation. It's no more a gold plating. Now why possibly a PMP or project management terminology says no surprises? Because the assumption in the PMP environment is the projects are very complex. Think about 100 plus people project. It's not like 2 3 people project. You may want to give a surprise to your friend because you understand your friend's needs very well, but you may not want to give a surprise to the whole organization with something thing. You may want to buy say sweets for your whole organization, and 50% of the people may end up throwing it away because they don't like it. Yeah, rest may use it. But if you bring a sweets for your friend, probably you understand your friend, they will get delighted by it. But the idea of project management is we assume it's 100 plus thing, and you probably won't know what is really good alone. Yeah. So don't make decision alone as a project team. Involve people. Yeah. Share the idea. We want to give you sweets. What do you think about it? They like it. Give it. That's no more a gold plating. Yeah. Okay, so if someone wants to do become a product owner without any experience, the person did a CSPO, whether doing advanced certified Scrum product owner will be helpful. See, the criteria for ACSPO is that you should do 1 year of product owner job. Yeah, then thing. Yeah, so that's a criteria wise also. In general, I think if you want to learn more about product ownership and want to get into product ownership space, probably you want to do some more business analysis. Yeah, than doing advanced CSPO. Probably you want to do programs like PMI PBA or CBAP and all, so that you understand how to conduct interview, how to do product research, and develop some more skills in writing user stories. So that's something probably you should do before doing a CSPO. Yeah. So focus on things like developing skills of writing user stories. We do have a detailed blog explaining how to write a user story. It is also attached with some of the videos. So probably you want to check on our website blog section, comprehensive guide to user stories. You can just check it, or you can Google user stories Eisenbridge. That blog will help you. It's a little long, but if you follow the whole thing, practice more on a day-to-day basis, and recap your CSPO curriculum, I think you should be able to crack the product owner job, and then you can do a CSPO. Okay. If the stakeholder rejects the final deliverable, what do you do? What do you do? You make something for your friend and the friend rejects it. He says, this is useless for me. What do? You probably need to understand how it can go wrong. Yeah. So it depends upon the overall organizational context, but definitely you do retrospective. So one answer could be that you do retrospective. You think what went wrong. Yeah, that's definitely will do. And probably you will figure it out if it can be fixable. Yeah. And if it is not fixable, then you probably want to learn how not to repeat it again. Yeah. So you learn from your mistakes, you do any of such. Yeah. Okay, so the user story blog is also shared by Kumkum on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. So in case you wanna go directly there, it's there. Okay, so we wait for a minute and see if we have another questions before we close it. Okay, so this was good silence. Great. So I think we are done for today. We do have another session in Jan. I'm exploring with my Instagram live. I'm thinking what should I do with it, continue or not. We'll see. I'm still thinking. But yeah, this is something we are continuing. And I think it is helping us also to understand what kind of a questions participant has in mind, so probably we can help them in understanding that so they can make the right decisions. That's the whole idea. Again, I don't consider myself expert. I don't think there was anything which could be just applied directly. They are just high level ideas, and yeah, one has to explore in detail. PMP program, one can visit our eisenbridge.com. You can see our PMP program there. And I think we have a batch starting next weekend. Yeah, that's a weekend batch which is starting. It will run for around 6-7 weeks. There will be gaps of weeks in between. So it starts, then there is a gap, then there is a 2 weeks, a 2 session, then there is a gap. Gap is designed to make you catch up the content. If you just follow the content during the class weeks, then you are good for your PMP exam there. So there was some question. I might have missed it. Which question you are talking about? So technical project manager and Scrum Master, is the Scrum doing planning is a good thing for Scrum Master? I answered both. If those were the two questions, probably you wanna check the recording. I hope that was not, there is nothing beyond that. Why most of the content we study on PMP course is not coming at a real life work culture? At least for our program, we don't talk about that. Yeah, we want to make sure that PMP content remains real. Now, what is real? Like, that's also we need to understand. There are millions of projects, and I might be working on one project. Is that my one project exhibits reality? Now, maybe I can say the place I work doesn't work like a PMP. Okay, that's still a good statement. But I may be saying the real world is not equal to PMP word. Now, that will be little off track. Now, then what is a PMP then, if the real word is not there? So what PMI does, they do a research every 2-3 years. They identify what are the things are used in the industry. In those millions of projects, they take some sample of it. And based on that, what is needed, what are the good practices, they create curriculum. And they keep changing every 3-4 years. So they ensure whatever is happening in the project management space, in the wider aspects of project management space, is included in the PMP certification. Now, my reality may not have that matching, but I can appreciate that this is something which is generically used in the word. And probably I see where I am matching and I am not matching. So that's the idea of project management, or that could be an idea of any framework. Any framework cannot talk in the language which your project is working, because they are talking generically to the millions of projects which are getting used. Yeah. So my request, and it remains in my clients as well, that don't try to say that this is real or this is not real. Try to see that this is generically acceptable as a good thing to do. Yeah. And I have my reality which may not match there. So that way, probably we can explore how the project management is done in the real world. Yeah. Okay, great. So I think here we conclude. Thank you everyone for joining in. Yeah, Kumkum, you want to say something? Yes.
No, I think nothing is left. You have covered everything. So yeah, the session was good. Thank you very much, Saket, for taking out time for this session, and thank you, participants. Thank you, visitors, for asking such a wonderful questions and adding value for others as well. So I think the today's session, I mean, I hardly interrupted in between. It was just one go thing. So it was very insightful, very nice session. So thank you very much. We'll be back again on last Friday, the fourth Friday, which is 27th of January, I'll check Saket's schedule. If I mean it's overlapping with something, then we might change. Otherwise, I think we are committed. I am committed. I'll force Saket also. So take care of yourself and thank you very much.
Hi everyone.